in 1980, you have the establishment of a trade union, the Solidarity Movement and Solidarity Trade Union, which initially naturally was banned, as there were no independent trade unions that were allowed in the neither in the Soviet Union nor in the Soviet satellite states here in Central Eastern Europe. But after some unexpectedly large strikes and demonstrations, Gerek felt that he was under pressure, and he allowed the Solidarity Trade Union to start functioning as a legal and independent trade union, a first in the communist world. This greatly alarmed the people in the Kremlin. In Moscow, it was perceived as the start of a Polish-Hungarian revolution of 1956, or of the Prague Spring in 1968 in Czechoslovakia. So there was this burgeoning debate in the Soviet Union what to be done about this Polish problem. In Poland, Gerek's position among the hardliners in the party continued to deteriorate. And in the autumn of 1980, they had finally had enough. He was unceremoniously given the boot. He was even charged for corruption. Nothing would come from it because it was never proven, but initially they went that way. He was replaced very briefly by Stanisław Kania as the first secretary, but soon thereafter a man of the military, General Wojciech Jaruzelski, came to power. He took that position as the first secretary of the Polish Communist Party, which technically had the name of the Polish Workers' Party, United Workers' Party. The word communism in Poland was still deemed to be a little bit too controversial to be used for the ruling party, at least. Naturally, Poland had fought a war against the Soviet Bolsheviks in 1920, and then later we had an invasion by the Soviet Union in 1939, and another one in 1944 when they were marching west toward Berlin. So the Poles were a bit sensitive to that. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, Jaruzelski was more of a hardliner. He had come from a very patriotic, good family. It was a family of the aristocracy, a very patriotic one, which had fought in all Polish uprisings of the 19th century against the Russian Empire. But Jaruzelski was among those Poles that were taken by the Soviet Union during the Second World War and deported to the depths of Siberia. Back then, in the massive snow-covered landscapes of Siberia, where you had this cover of snow and reflection from the sun, and when you were working outside for hours, often chopping down forests or some other tough manual labor, the sun was a problem, and this reflection from the snow, it damaged Jaruzelski's eyesight, and for the rest of his life he was carrying these dark glasses, which became somewhat of a symbol of his, you could say. He had been rising through the ranks of the Polish army throughout the Cold War. In 1968, when there was somewhat of a political crisis in Poland, a quite significant political crisis to be frank, his position had grown even more. He had taken some very controversial decisions. He had been crucial in the anti-Semitic campaign that the Communist Party was executing against, both against the opposition in general, but also against some Jewish elements within the Communist Party itself. And also this was directed very, very much by the Soviet Union, because in the previous year, in 1967, we had the 6 Days War in the Middle East. And back then the Soviet Union had strongly taken a position of its Arab allies against Israel, and it demanded that its Soviet satellite states followed suit. So Jaruzelski was quite instrumental in the persecution or introducing this anti-Semitic campaign into the Polish army itself, and trying to initiate repressions within his own ranks against Jewish members. He had also taken a decision to shoot down a plane with a Pole trying to flee to the west. So he had become known as a man that the Communist Party could approach with these types of requests for difficult missions.
Adam, I'm just going to have to interrupt you there. The clock in the corner of the studio is winking that our time is over, but we will pick it up if we may next time. There we are. I've had to interrupt Adam almost in mid-sentence, but fear not. If you join us next time, as we hope you will, here on Poland Daily History, we'll pick up the story. In the meantime, thank you for watching.